This is Mac OS Ken.
Diving into the latest iPads, tempting offers for iPhone 15, and dark matter shines for Apple TV Plus. It is Monday, the 20th of May, 2024. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by ExpressVPN. Protect your online activity today. Sign up for a year and get an extra 3 months free at expressvpn.com/macosken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macosken. We talked last week about YouTubers breaking new iPad Pro units. Mostly it seems to prove that they could. Now let a pro show you how it's done and why. 9to5Mac writes up the teardown of a 13-inch iPad Pro from iFixit, while the tour offers a good look at the internals of the new M4 machine, complete with a close-up look at the new tandem OLED display and the repositioned front-facing camera. The big news seems to center around the battery. Easy to replace is the verdict, or as easy as things can be inside Apple's tablet. Despite the hassle of getting to those pull tabs, says iFixit, the fact that you can remove the battery without having to remove every major component inside the device is still a huge win for repairability. It's a massive improvement over the previous generations. 9to5Mac refers to the iFixit post as a full teardown, though I'm not sure it's full and complete. The DIY champions don't seem to have offered a repairability score as of this writing. While being able to swap batteries with relative ease is good news, every silver lining has a cloud. This one may come in the form of grainy displays. A piece from iMore has some owners of Apple's brand new M4 machines complaining of grainy displays and posting pictures of that graininess. The question is, why? The graininess, not the posting. The answer? A qualified shrug emoji. iMore suggests two possibilities. One has to do with power management, while the other has to do with the way the displays display. If it's a power management thing, the piece says Apple may be able to roll out a software fix that tweaks power management settings at the display level. That said, the site says that rather than being an issue as such, it's possible that this is just a characteristic of these displays that people will ultimately get used to. Remember when repairing a pencil meant sharpening it or maybe inserting a new eraser or lead? Welcome to the 21st century. The aforementioned iFixit teardown also included a teardown of Apple Pencil Pro. Not surprisingly, it is not an easy thing to repair. Apple Insider writes up that portion of the iFixit breakage. The piece goes through every step, which I'm not going to do here. I will say it starts by iFixit using an ultrasonic cutter to slice open the plastic body of the pencil, meaning you pretty much can't repair it. iFixit deems Pencil Pro's internal layout a slight improvement over earlier Apple Pencils, though that's mostly because parts aren't completely glued down the way they have been in Pencils past. Apple's written a neat trick into Apple Pencil Pro for both the M4 iPad Pro and M2 iPad Air, and a sort of Easter egg that surprises and delights users. A piece from Cult of Mac says the Pro stylus casts a shadow of the selected tool in use on the tablet screen. If you have selected a pencil tool, it's the shadow that would be cast by a pencil. Choose a pen tool, it's the shadow that would be cast by a pen. And it works the way a shadow would. According to the Cult, the shadow moves as the pencil does, it compacts and elongates with the movement of the stylus, and it even tilts and rotates like the pencil, thanks at least in part to its built-in gyroscope. Surprising and delightful. Your old iPhone should be worth more toward the purchase of something from the iPhone 15 line. Word over the weekend from sites such as Mac Rumors had Apple increasing the trade-in value for older iPhones when customers buy any iPhone 15 model in the US and Canada. That was the word from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman. According to the Scoopster, the new trade-in values are for a limited time only. He didn't post the new prices, but finding out should be easy. They are, or were, expected to go into effect today. They are expected to run through the 3rd of June. Tap to Pay for iPhone has found a new place to call home. It's right there in the name, but a piece from Apple Insider explains Tap to Pay is Apple's system to allow iPhone users to take contactless payments from phones and contactless credit and debit cards without requiring a separate physical card reader. The piece says the Cupertino company has rolled the service out in Japan. Initial launch partners are said by the piece to include GMO Financial Gate, Recruit companies AirPay Touch, and Square. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, ExpressVPN. Recently I had a medical thing. My doctor told me something and I wanted more information. What I didn't want was anybody else knowing what I was looking up. So I hit my searches with a 1-2 combo: private browsing and ExpressVPN. See, even with private browsing or incognito mode, your ISP can still see the sites you're visiting. That's why even at home, I have always got ExpressVPN running. It's not just me not wanting my ISP to know what I'm searching. Here in the US at least, your ISP can legally sell your surfing habits to ad companies. No thank you. ExpressVPN reroutes your internet connection through their secure servers, so your ISP can't see the sites you visit. They encrypt 100% of your data, and they do it all at such speeds, I forget I have ExpressVPN running. Seriously, if my computer is on, ExpressVPN is on. Protect your online activity today with the VPN rated #1 by CNET and Mashable. Visit my exclusive link, expressvpn.com/macOSKen, and you can get an extra 3 months free on a 1-year package. That's expressvpn.com/macOSKen to learn more. expressvpn.com/macOSKen. Concerns about Apple, conflict minerals, and the Democratic Republic of Congo have apparently slipped out of the courtroom and into the streets. I told you a few weeks ago of legal moves by the DRC to force Apple to prove that tin, tungsten, and gold, so-called 3T minerals used in Apple electronics, are not coming from the DRC. Apple says that it sources the materials from Rwanda, though lawyers for the DRC say Rwanda's production of key 3T minerals is near zero, that the minerals are actually coming from militias and terrorist groups acting outside the law in the DRC. 3 weeks later, a piece from Apple Insider says Germany's Apple Rosenthalerstrasse store in Berlin has been graffitied by activists protesting the alleged exploitation of the Congo. According to the report, activists from Fridays for Future have vandalized one of Apple's 2 stores in Berlin, specifically to draw attention to the company's alleged practices. The picture paired with the article shows the store's windows as well as the Apple logo over the door covered in red paint. On one side of the door is an inverted red triangle, on the other, the words, Free Congo. The piece says Fridays for Future planned to speak in front of the Apple store Friday evening, though not been able to find anything about whether that happened as planned. You might have expected game emulators turning up in the App Store to be hit with lawsuits from video game makers. But did you have Adobe suing any of them on your imaginary tech news bingo card? iDownload says such could have been the fate of the Delta emulator. You know how the Greek letter delta looks like a triangle and the Latin letter A looks like a triangle? The game emulator Delta used a stylized delta that looked a lot like the stylized A used by Adobe, so much so that Adobe suggested Delta change their logo lest they be forced to meet in court. Delta has done so. iDownload blog says Delta version 1.5.4 addresses a number of issues, including the one brought up by Adobe. While many question the future and Apple Vision Pro and Apple Vision Pro's future, a piece from iMore has one high-profile game developer calling Apple's spatial computer a huge step towards people getting on the VR train. At a starting price of $3,500, a lot of people won't be able to afford an Apple Vision Pro of their own, and yet Alchemy Labs CEO Andrew Ike indicates that the Apple device is key to getting people interested in headsets. What does he like about it? In parlance of Apple of old, it just works. Speaking with GameIndustry.biz, the CEO said, as far as friction goes, which is one of the biggest things that we fight in XR, it's one of the lowest friction devices. You put it on, there's no room set up, it's not yelling at you to draw circles or whatever. It just runs the apps. There's no caveats to it. And finally today, Apple TV Plus has another apparent hit among the streaming titles. Cult of Max says the sci-fi drama Dark Matter is burning it up on the charts of Real Good and Just Watch. Real Good has the show at number 1 for the week ending the 9th of May, while Just Watch has it in second place from the 6th of May through the 12th. While it's one out of the top spot on the Just Watch list, Apple may be more pleased with that list. That's because Just Watch has a second Apple TV Plus title in its top 10. That one's got the Colin Farrell detective series Sugar, coming in at number 9. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and sponsored by ExpressVPN. Sign up for a year and get an extra 3 months free at expressvpn.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.